Hey everybody, welcome back to Screwball, a baseball podcast, your home for everything baseball. I'm your host Mike Lepre, here with my co-host Frank White.
Hey, how's it going?
This week we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of trades. Whole heck of a lot of trades, actually. We got, golly, I don't even know how many. I just got 9 here on 3 teams to look at. So let's get right into it. Let's not even waste any time. And let's talk about the big blockbuster of the trade deadline. Mike Clevinger going to the Padres. San Diego Padres and the Cleveland Indians struck a blockbuster deal involving Mike Clevinger, Greg Allen, and a player to be named later for Austin Hedges, Cal Quantrill, Josh Naylor, Gabriel Arias, Joey Cantillo, and Owen Miller. The 9-player deal gives the Padres a pitcher they are in desperate need of, while the Indians possibly signal they are heading towards a rebuild. This is, in my opinion, I think the biggest move of the deadline. I think it for sure involves the most players. I think it involves the biggest name, I would say. Mike Clevinger is a guy under a lot of control. He's proven that he's a really good pitcher, got a good strikeout rate, good ERA. He eats innings. Padres is exactly what they needed. They needed starting pitching. That was probably their number one need for quite a few years now. Yeah, I think a great trade overall. I think it works well for the Indians too. I'm a little surprised. I guess I'm not super surprised, but I am a little surprised that Lindor didn't get dealt. I heard a lot of chatter about Lindor before the season, around the deadline, everything. So I'm a little surprised Lindor didn't get dealt. But I guess Clevinger, I guess this was a smart trade for both teams. So, I mean, what are you thinking about this trade? And really, I mean, the Padres made a bunch of moves. So, I mean, what are you thinking about this trade, maybe even just the Padres where they're sitting right now?
I think it's a pretty good move for both teams. I think the Padres did give up a good amount. They gave up their 7th prospect, their 9th prospect, and their 11th prospect. They also have one of the deepest farm systems. So being the 11th prospect in the Padres system is kind of like being the 5th prospect, 6th prospect in someone else's system.
Mm.
So they did give up a lot to get him. They did get Greg Allen, who's a nice backup outfielder.
Mm.
They got Austin Hedges, who's like a younger catcher with great defensive ability.
Mm.
But they still have kept Francisco Mejia for the hope he turns into the prospect he's supposed to be.
Mm.
It's a good trade. They have control over Clevinger, which is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
This isn't just a one-year thing, because the Padres are chasing the Dodgers this year. They got to be smart and make sure they know what's going on for the next couple of years too.
Yeah.
You can't just go all in for this year because it's hard to beat them right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a pretty good trade. The Indians, they got rid of a pitcher who really, I think he's 29 already. People think he's like a 26-year-old. He's 29 years old already. I think he's going on 30.
Yeah.
In the offseason. Obviously, he had a problem with the Indians. Went out and, caused a ruckus there. They have a lot of pitching. So getting rid of him doesn't really hurt them.
Yeah.
They have that Tristan McKenzie or whatever that guy's name they called up the other day. I mean, that guy, he looked really good. They have Plesac still. They kept him, even though he was part of that issue. So they still have pitching. Yeah. But this is good. This is good for both teams. The Padres got a pitcher that apparently they couldn't get.
Yeah.
Somehow they wanted to give up Babe Ruth and couldn't get a pitcher.
Yeah.
For 3 years now.
I know.
So they finally got a pitcher of some sort of quality to go along with Paddock, who's been struggling this year. Dilson, Lamet, Joey Lucchesi. They got some younger guys. Zach Davies having a great year. So they have some guys who are supposed to be okay, pretty good. Some young guys, and then you have Paddock, and now you got Clevinger. So they have, pretty good rotation now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is a pretty good move for both teams, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the first thing I saw when I woke up, and not that I couldn't believe it because I saw Clevinger's name getting thrown around a lot, but I was impressed by the fact that it's a 9-player deal, and the haul the Indians got, which it makes sense because he's got a lot of control. You're not just getting him for a year or two, so it does make sense to return the asking price. The Padres met the asking price, and both teams I think will make out well. I don't know if I see Clevinger being a guy that'll just tank and just be real bad for the Padres. And who knows? You got what, 3 of their top 10 prospects or something like that? I mean,
3 of their top 11.
You figure at least one of those guys works out to be a big league, a guy in the future for the Indians. I mean, that even just that,
And you get Josh Naylor, who's a younger player.
Yeah.
Who's got a little bit of ability. Austin Hedges. And then Cal Quantrill, I think he's a little bit older reliever, but still, they got some other guys too.
Yeah. Yeah. So overall, I think that that trade works out for both teams, and the Padres did make more moves. So, I mean, why don't we just start reading off, the trades that we got here? I mean, I've got one right here that I had as my second piece of news was the Texas Rangers traded Mike Minor to the A's. What do you think of that move? Really, nothing more to that. It was just the Rangers got, I think, 2 players to be named later and future international money, and the A's got Mike Minor in money, so no real big names exchanging back and forth.
I think the A's got really 2 players to be named later. I think we'll find out about these players to be named later. Just because I think there's so many of them, like every trade's player to be named later because of the minor league system not being around this year. I think that's a big part of it. So we really don't know who these guys are getting traded.
Yeah,
we really don't. But in the past, there's only been a few that have been any good out of those, and that's Michael Brantley comes to mind. So to get a guy like Mike Minor, who was an All-Star last year, obviously not pitching well this year, but he can help. You give him a good defense, maybe a little bit better pitcher-friendly ballpark. He should be better. Worst case scenario for the A's, they get rid of 2 guys that we really don't know nothing about who they got rid of. For a guy who could maybe at least come out of the bullpen, maybe give him an inning or 2 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's a good trade for the A's. Really, it's an A's kind of trade.
Yeah, for sure. I like the trade. I think that he'll do well with the Athletics. I think that the A's are good at moves like this, where they just get a guy that, like you said, former All-Star last year, having a little tough time. Maybe he just comes over to the A's and I could see him having like a 1 ERA down the stretch. I could see that kind of trade happening. So yeah, I think that's a great move. Rangers really ain't going nowhere right now, so it kind of makes sense for them. I don't know how much control he's got. I think he's got another year after this, right? Or is it?
I think he's a free agent after this year.
Oh, is he a free agent after this? So it makes even more sense just to see what you can get out of him. Instead of letting him go to free agency. So yeah, that definitely makes sense. So I know that you actually got most of the trades written down there. So why don't we just kind of one by one them, just see what we got going on?
Yeah. So I got a few of these smaller trades. I mean, I could roll through some of these smaller trades real quick.
Yeah.
Just and let us get to some of these bigger ones that we got. We can kind of go into a little bit more. But let's go back to the Padres. The Padres get Taylor Williams for a player to be named later. So another small deal for an arm. Cubs get Andrew Chafin for a player to be named later. Another smaller deal. Phillies get Dave Phelps.
Yep.
From the Brewers for 3 players to be named later. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a haul for David Phelps. I mean,
yeah, he's unbelievable against lefties this year, though.
Yeah,
he can get 4 hits and like 40 at bats or something.
I saw that.
So Cubs get Josh Oshis.
Yeah. Oh
Oshish,
yeah.
For a player to be named later. Player to be named later is all over the place. The Rockies get Pilar for a player to be named later. They also got Cash. So it was Pilar, Cash for a player to be named later, and international signing bonus.
All right. It's a good trade.
That's a good trade for the Rockies.
Yeah.
They really gave up nothing for a guy who could help defensively in the outfield, big outfield, and help depth with that team.
Yeah, I like that trade.
Another big trade, who really no one doesn't look like one, but it is. The Blue Jays get Jonathan Villar for a player to be named later.
Yeah.
Guy who could play infield, outfield, speed, switch hitter, a veteran at this point, a leader. Played with the Marlins, played with the Orioles last year. So that's a good guy to get right there.
I like the moves, just to piggyback off of that. I know you got more, but I like the moves the Blue Jays are making because right now they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
I believe Villar signed a multi-year contract with the Marlins this offseason too.
I think you're right.
So I think they might have him for one more year or some sort of option.
Yeah.
He signed a deal with the Marlins. He was a free agent last year.
Yeah.
Right? From the Orioles. So he should have another year somewhere, you would think.
Yeah.
Option or some sort.
So that's the case. That's even
That's
better.
Even better deal, yeah. Let's see. The Cubs get Cameron Maben for Zach Short.
Okay.
So that's just minor leaguer there for Cameron Maben, veteran outfielder.
Yeah.
Been on winning teams. So that's good to get.
Can't hurt.
Reds get Brian Goodwin for Packy Naughton and a player to be named later.
Okay.
More of a small deal, but Brian Goodwin played good for the Angels.
Yeah.
And hope that's good for the Reds to show that they're still going for it because they have been struggling a little bit. Let's see what else we got. Reds get Archie Bradley.
Yeah. Yep.
For Stuart Fairchild and Josh Van Meter. Still another kind of smaller deal, even though Archie Bradley that's one of the bigger deals I've mentioned so far.
Yeah.
Because there has been Archie Bradley and there's 2 players going in return, but still nothing really that crazy in that deal.
No blockbuster like the Clevenger
it's good
trade.
For the Reds though. Got a bullpen guy to help, Rossi Iglesias and Amir Garrett and guys like that.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. The Mets get Robertson Chirinos and Todd Frazier. Essentially, it was the same deal. I think they ended up splitting it, but still, they got those 2 guys for 2 players to be named later. Let's just, that's just how it is. The Mets get a backup catcher but they have a backup catcher out already. And they get Frazier, who was there before.
Yeah, you would figure Chirinos is a little bit more of a defensive kind of help for because
I think they have Nitto, I think he's on the IL. But I think it just gives him another bat, really.
Yeah.
Because they got to score.
Yeah.
So
I'll say.
And they get Frazier, who can hit, been there before. So that's that's good for them.
Morale guy.
Yeah. The Mets also got Miguel Castro.
Yep.
For Kevin Smith and a player to be named later. So that's some pitching help.
Yeah, they could use that.
Yeah, the Mets, they went like the back door to things. They got some smaller people. But, we'll see if it pans out for them.
Mm-hmm.
Ross Stripling to the Blue Jays for 2 players to be named later.
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers getting rid of a guy. I think it's more of a salary dump at this point.
Yeah, probably.
A guy they don't use. A guy who was already traded once, really, with the first Mookie Betts deal. I think he was part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Got pulled away. So they really got rid of a guy they really don't use anymore, save some money, get 2 players to be named later. Who knows what you get out of that.
Yeah.
And after that, when we start getting into a little bit more of the, the bigger trades or the more trades, more comments, more stuff you can, talk about in these trades. And before I send it back to you to mention your next one, I want to go into this next trade. The Marlins get Starlin Marte for Caleb Smith, Humberto Mejia, and a player to be named later. So the Marlins traded Villar away, got Starlin Marte. One thing I got to mention is some of the outfielders the Marlins had in the last 5 years is unbelievable.
Oh, I know.
Because Starlin Marte is a really good player. You had Stan, you had Yelich, you had Ozuna, now you have Marte. You had Villar kind of out in that outfield. Jesus Christ, they have had a lot.
I know, they sure have.
This deal here, the Marlins gave up a good amount there. Caleb Smith's a pretty good left-hand pitcher. He's like 28, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of older, but still kind of,
he's good.
Not really a prospect anymore. No, it was a good trade for the Diamondbacks. They lost, though. They did lose this trade because they traded for Marte for 2 prospects.
Yeah.
2 of their pretty decent prospects, and they have a good farm system.
Yeah.
So it was not the worst thing. Diamondbacks have a good farm system, too, though. So it was weird.
Yeah.
But they do get Caleb Smith back, and they do get Humberto Mejia, who's a pretty good player. The Marlins, though, they get Marte, who's a good veteran player. Good outfielder. He's batting like 300 this year. The thing is, I believe he has 1 more year on his contract. I believe next year's an option.
Okay.
So that's the biggest thing with the Marlins.
Yeah.
They got him for next year, too.
Yeah, that's...
Worst case, they're not good, they trade him. And if they are good, there you go. So that's not a bad deal for the Marlins.
Yeah, it's kind of a win-win.
But it was just weird. It's not really a bad deal, but then you look at it again, you're like, you don't know.
Yeah.
But you can go either way. It's not the worst deal they're gonna make.
No, I thought I was actually a little surprised to see him moved. I didn't see him really on the radar getting traded. To be honest.
So that's most of the smaller deals that happened today. That one obviously, that last one being more of a something we would mention. But now we can kind of get down to some of these other trades that have a little bit more impact, I think. And not just the other guys won't have impact, but these ones that have more, stuff for us to talk about.
Yeah, a little more star power involved.
Yeah, just a little more, opinions on them.
Yeah, a little more.
So, now we can kind of get into some of these. But that's a lot of the trades there. So there should be, I think there's still like, I don't even know, 10 or 12 we're going to mention here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. So. There's I couldn't even keep up at some point. I was just seeing the John Heyman and Ken Rosenthal tweets flowing in.
Yeah. So, why don't you jump onto our next trade?
I mean, the only one I guess I have here written down that you didn't mention, believe it or not, because we obviously talked about Clevenger. That's the biggest one, I'd say. Mike Minor, I think, is a big one. Although, like I said, Mike Minor hasn't been. Had this trade happen last year, it actually would have been a big deal. We talked about the Mets, Chirinos, Castro, Frazier. I think that the Mets showing that they have life and that they're trying to go for it, I think is big for the fan base. And I think that, especially Todd Frazier, I think helps with the clubhouse. I think that's actually a little bit of an underrated move because he's not the best player out there that you're going to get, but he really does bring that X factor to a team. And I do notice that when he comes to a winning team.
I think he might have an option for next year too. I'm not sure.
I don't know what his deal is. What he was getting with the Rangers. I've really no idea. Then you mentioned Jonathan Villar. I think that's a very good deal because I think he's a really underrated player. I think the only guy here that I have that I don't know if you mentioned him. I may have missed it and you just firing those off. But Robbie Ray.
I didn't talk about Robbie Ray.
He got dealt. I don't know the exact details of the trade because I just have some names written down here. But Robbie Ray really hasn't. Do you have the trade?
Yeah, I have Blue Jays get Robbie Ray for Travis Bergen.
Okay.
And just to give you a quick note on Travis Bergen, that's Robbie Ray Jr. Same type of pitcher.
Oh, okay.
Crazy. Okay. The talent's there, but just wild. They can't throw strikes.
Young guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Younger guy. I think 23, 24, 25.
Okay.
But he's the same type of pitcher. I believe he's a lefty. I don't remember now, but he's the same type of pitcher. He's wild, 5-6 walks a game. But the same thing, where you could be like, if we can control that. So it's kind of weird. The Blue Jays get an MLB ready, older version of a guy they just traded away.
Yeah.
So that's really, Diamondbacks really, they get the same guy back, just another try at it, essentially.
Yeah, especially because the reason that I'm a little... I knew that Robbie Ray was probably going to get dealt. I just am a little wary of it.
Years now.
I know. He's been... Trade rumors, he's been going everywhere. So he finally dealt, and it's at the point where I guess his value couldn't be any lower from all the points that they could have traded him, right? I mean, they could have traded him.
He's a free agent next year, too.
Yeah, so I mean, you figure you trade him closest to when his contract's up. He's really not throwing great. He's, 1-4, like a 7-something ERA. He's really not playing well.
Oh, yeah, he's averaging like 9 walks.
Yeah, so...
I think his walks per 9 is like 9.
Which is not great. So, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but could they have maybe made this deal last year and gotten a lot bigger of a haul? Maybe they're in the same spot had they dealt him last year. You know, so I don't...
But they try to stay in it.
Yeah.
They got Marte, they got the other Marte, so they're trying to stay competitive, but they're still trying to... we mentioned this before the season, they're in that weird spot where they're selling, but they're staying competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't really know what Diamondbacks are. Are they giving up, or are they going for it? And that kind of proves it with this deal. They kind of get... They really didn't get what all they're worth, but Robbie Ray hasn't been good for really 2 years now.
Yeah.
So maybe they really didn't miss. You know, who knows what they really missed out? But they get another chance with this guy. He's a similar pitcher, so they get another chance to try doing what they couldn't do with Robbie Ray, essentially.
Yeah, I think this is more of a trade that will play out with time. I don't know if I can really say for sure. Who knows? Maybe Robbie Ray comes over and he throws lights out, and the other guy is out of baseball in a few years, or it could be vice versa. You know, so I don't know. Well, that'll take some time. I don't have any other trades written down here, though. I think I talked about a lot of the bigger trades that I wanted to talk about. I know that you basically.
Yeah, I got a bunch more trades we want to go into.
Yeah, so why don't you take the reins on this one?
Yeah.
I'll
And like I said, I wanted to mention a lot of those other ones because a lot of them were smaller deals or a lot of player to be named later, so there wasn't as much to go into. But the next one I want to talk about is the Rockies get Michael Gibbons from the Orioles for Tyler Nevin.
That's right.
Taron Vavra.
I'm not sure.
And a player to be named later. Now, the Rockies gave up their 7th prospect and their 14th prospect for Michael Gibbons, who's a free agent after this year. And really, he's a pretty good reliever, like a 3-year reliever, 3 ERA reliever.
Yeah. I
thought this was a little much for the Rockies to give up.
Yeah, I agree.
But they do need pitching, and they're a team that has decent farm system. They're probably in the middle somewhere. So their 14th prospect's not that bad. And a player to be named later, you're not really worried about. 14th prospect for Michael Gibbons, all right. But their 7th prospect as well, you're like, all right, it's a little too much, I think. So I thought the Rockies really gave up a little too much to get Gibbons. But if he comes over and helps them pitch with some of the offense, and this I think was also a move to say, hey, Ornado, we're trying.
Yeah.
So I think the Orioles did good there. I think the Rockies did okay. I think the Rockies are on the short end of that.
I was gonna say I think the Orioles did better there.
Or maybe they sign him. Now, if they keep Gibbons for 2 years after this contract, they sign him, then it works out a little bit better for them.
Yeah.
Oh, you got him for 3 years. Well, if they let him go after this, then you got him for 15 games.
Yeah. Yeah, which is, I think the Orioles, as of right now, if they don't sign him back, I think the Orioles probably got the better end of that trade.
Yeah. Another trade to go into, Cubs get Jose Martinez for 2 players to be named later from the
That's
Rays.
right. I forgot about that.
Jose Martinez had no spot for the Rays. That was just it. There was no spot for him.
And the thing with Jose Martinez is I believe, I'm not sure, I don't have the exact stats. It was like there was a weighted runs created plus stat that was going around with Jose Martinez was really, really good against lefties. And this year he's been awful against lefties, I think was the headline.
Yeah, so he went to the Cubs to try helping because they needed righty hitters because Chris Bryant is out and Steven Souza is out. So they needed a righty hitter. And they're really trying to get poor man's Nick Castellanos they traded for last year. The Rays didn't need him.
No.
They had no room for. They called up a guy who they got in the Martinez trade to play outfield, so they really didn't need him. So they got him for, they got rid of him for 2 players to be named later, which is really nothing. But if they're the Rays and they're looking at you, then there's probably a reason. So the Rays probably just got like some sort of all-star from them 2 players to be named later.
Yeah, they just got their next number 1 starter or something.
Yeah, because they're crazy how they get these guys.
I know.
A trade from a couple days ago is Blue Jays get Taijuan Walker for a player to be named later or cash. That might be the best deal. Out of all of them. They got a guy with high potential a couple years ago. Had injuries, some shoulder, arm issues. But a high potential guy with some nasty stuff. And they got him for a player to be named or cash. I really thought that was a great deal for them. I thought, why wouldn't other teams jump in on this? Why wouldn't the Yankees? Why wouldn't anybody? If you're Boston, why wouldn't you jump in on this?
Yeah.
He's got a pitcher. I think he might be under contract for next year, or an option of some sort, or arbitration or something like that. I think. I'm not sure exactly, but still, why? Why not?
Yeah.
It's a great. It's a guy who has high potential, still young, just has some injuries in his past, and he's a good pitcher.
Yeah.
I mean, he was with the Mariners. He was one of their high prospects. I think when they had Pineda. Who's part of like their kind of young guys coming up.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
I mean, this is a good pitcher if he can just kind of stay healthy.
Yeah, as a Yankee fan, I was looking at it like, why couldn't we do that?
Why wouldn't the Mets do it?
Yeah.
Why would anybody do this? Why would you the White Sox? You want to pitch it? Why not go get this guy?
I know.
It just didn't make sense. That's something the A's should have almost done. They got Minor, essentially the same trade.
Yeah.
That's something the A's do, and then it turns out the guy's the best pitcher in the world.
Yeah.
So that was a really good deal.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was really good.
Yeah. The next trade I want to bring up, the Tampa Bay Rays get Brett Phillips from the Royals for Lucius Fox, I believe his name is.
Lucius Fox? Or?
Yeah, it's whatever. Brett Phillips is a pretty young outfielder. He's played all three positions. Good defender. Just depth for the outfield for the Rays.
Yeah.
And they gave up a guy, they say, who's a young infielder. He's just, he can move around. He's just got good defensive, player. But he's young. So it's really like a minor move, but the Royals got a guy who could be a utility guy in the future, and the Rays get a guy who could be a good bench piece for World Series contending team.
Yeah.
So any move they make is pretty big.
Yeah, sure.
The next move here, now here's I thought this move no one talked about. The White Sox get Gerard Dyson for international signing bonus money. There's a guy right there who seems to be on pretty good teams. With the Royals when they won. He seems to be on teams, and then he's either on a pretty good team or they're garbage. Complete garbage.
Yeah. It wasn't the Pirates.
Complete garbage. And he was with the Royals, and they were pretty good.
Yeah.
But you're the White Sox, and you got Eloy Jimenez, not defensively great. End of the game, you put him in the outfield, and then you have Luis Robert in the outfield. That's a pretty good. That's all you need.
Yeah. They're
Doesn't
getting to the
matter
ball.
who's playing right field. Doesn't matter.
So yeah, your left fielder and your center fielder are getting to the ball. It don't matter.
Also, pinch runner playoffs. Also, extra inning rule. Playoffs won't come into effect, the extra inning rule, but right now it will. You're telling me a guy, let's say James McCann's on second base. Gerard Dyson's now on second base. He could win you some games.
Yeah, all of a sudden you got to start thinking about him.
Yeah. So I thought that was a big move for the White Sox.
Yeah, it's
and they did nothing. They gave away nothing.
Little sneaky move.
Yes, I thought that was a good one to mention. The next move, the A's do another A's move. They get Tommy Stella for Franklin Barreto. He was a former top prospect, Franklin Barreto, for the A's. And this was a guy who was up there, but he has never really had room for the A's to play. He was like a second baseman, third baseman, shortstop. He just could never really have consistent time in the majors. His time he did, he didn't really play that great. But I guess Tommy Stella, who was an all-star last year and he's played pretty well this year.
Sure.
At times, at least. So that's a good piece to get who can play multiple positions, as the A's always want to get.
Yeah.
So that's a good move for the A's, I thought. They got rid of a guy who was a high prospect. Angels get a guy who was a high prospect. Say, hey, we'll give him some time. A's get rid of him because there's no room for him, and they get a guy who can help hit against righties, play first base, second base, third base, because he can play a little bit of outfield. So
yeah, plays everywhere.
Yeah, it's a good move. The next move I thought was a little weird. The Braves get Tommy Malone for two players to be named later.
Yeah.
He was pitching great. Don't get me wrong. He came right in yesterday, thrown right into the fire, and got blasted by the Phillies. Kind of thought that was going to happen, though. You get sent on a plane that day, meet a new team, probably got tested for COVID 6 times while he was there, thrown right on the mound, and Sunday Night Baseball, and gets beat up.
Yeah.
So give him some time. At the very least, he'll be a lefty specialist or something. Not a bad move, just thought the Braves would go after a little bit more starting pitcher. No one. Soroka's done for the year. Hamels might not come back. If he does, it's going to be really late. Some other guys struggling. You'd think they would went for somebody a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Especially with the farm system they do have.
Yeah, I kind of scratched my head at it too. I was like, Tommy Malone. I was like,
Yeah, they could have went for somebody bigger with the farm system they had. But that's an opening day starter this year, Tommy Malone.
Yeah.
So, and you're the Orioles. You got two players being named later for a guy. It was an afterthought for just about everybody. So, who knows?
Yeah, maybe it was a good move for them. I don't know.
Padres. The Padres. They made like what, one trade, 2, 3, 9.
I know.
They made 9.
It said just before. It said they made 5 trades since Saturday.
AJ Peller, their GM.
Yeah.
What was his name? And then they made a trade we're going to get to shortly with them. It's Mariners. Both those GMs are like crazy. They're always making trades, and they always got some crazy details. So we'll get into that in a little while. But the Padres get Trevor Rosenthal for Edward Olivares and a player to be named later. Rosenthal had a great bounce back year.
Yeah.
I mean, he was hit 98.
Yeah, I know.
His velocity was back.
I know.
And you can't tell me this guy's not, playoff bound. You know, he's been in the playoffs many times. He knows how to pitch in big games. Been on bad teams. Been on good teams. So that's a good move for the Padres.
Yeah, I thought that was a little sneaky move. I like that move.
Yeah, and like I said, he was pitching great. I think he had like under 1 ERA or 1 ERA.
Yeah, quietly.
And he was throwing 98 again. Which velocity doesn't really come back.
Yeah.
Somehow he got it back. So that's great for the Padres.
I think his control's coming back too, because I think that was a lot of the issue too. Was not necessarily the velocity, but he just couldn't. Yeah. He couldn't find the strike zone.
Yeah, and last year he was a joke.
I know.
I think he had he faced his first 12 batters. He got none of them out last year. That was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Now he's one of the better relievers again. The Padres did give up though in that trade their 20th prospect.
Yeah.
So again, you go, it's not too bad for a team's 20th prospect. When your prospects are so deep, though, your 20th is like someone else's 14th.
Yeah, that's true.
You look at it that way. But still, I think the Royals did good in that trade. I think the Padres did good. I think it's a pretty even trade. Next one, Padres again. Get Mitch Moreland for Hudson Potts.
That's right, yeah.
Jessen Rosario. I think that was it of that trade, right? It was Hudson Potts, yep, and Jessen Rosario.
Okay.
Not a bad trade for the Padres. Get some lefty power. Veteran. Plays a pretty good first base. I think he won a Gold Glove there. But again, I think it was just too much. They gave up their 16th prospect and their 19th prospect for a guy for just for 15 games the rest of this year. He's not even going to start because you have Hosmer. He's going to be really like a backup.
Yeah.
So that's 16th prospect and 19th prospect in your system. As the Padres, I already mentioned 3 times, we have a deep system. So I think Boston did pretty good there. The only thing Boston did bad there, none of those guys are pitchers.
Yeah.
You can't pitch. You can't throw a ball. You had guys who belong in single A pitching to the Rays, and they get 30 runs that game.
Yep. Yeah.
It was like Mark McGwire was smashing balls over the monster.
Yeah.
And you keep getting offensive players.
Yeah.
Not bad. You got to get young players. But you got to get some pitchers.
Yeah.
When do you learn that you need some pitchers?
I hear you. I know.
Similar to what the Mets keep doing. They keep drafting guys who are pitchers. You have pitchers.
Yeah,
for the most part. You need offense. You need homegrown offense. When are you going to get homegrown offense? You see it start turning now. J.D. Davis, McNeil over there, Dominic Smith, Conforto. But still, they need homegrown offense.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox need the opposite. They need homegrown pitching.
They sure do.
So,
golly.
You'd think they would learn. Padres again. Get Jason Castro for Gerardo Reyes.
God.
That's a decent deal there. Jason Castro's a nice catcher. They didn't really give up too much there. So that's a pretty good deal. They needed catching because Austin Hedges was a starter. He wasn't doing anything offensively.
Yeah.
Francisco Mejia has not done anything. So they get Jason Castro, who's not the greatest offensive guy, but he'll do something.
Yeah.
Defensively, he's pretty good. So that's a decent, pretty good deal. We already mentioned Clevenger with the Padres. We already mentioned Taylor Williams with the Padres. I believe this is the last trade we're going to mention. And that is the Padres.
Again.
Get Austin Nola.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Austin Adams, Dan Altavilla for Taylor Trammell, Luis. I don't even know how it's special. They got special characters here for this guy.
Oh, okay.
Luis Terines, I believe, Andres Munoz, and Ty France.
Okay.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah. Sure.
Now, I thought this deal was not good for the Padres. I thought this was flat out bad.
You think so?
Terrible.
Okay.
I thought this was old Padres move. Like, hey, we're kind of in hunt. We're 5 games out of division. Let's sell the house.
Yeah.
You give up Taylor Trammell, who's your 5th prospect in your system, 60th overall in baseball. Won the Futures Game MVP, I believe, 2 years ago, last year.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think was it last year?
Won last year or 2 years ago. Either way, I know he's roadblocked, but Trent Grisham there playing really good, and Cronenworth playing really well now. So I know he kind of had a roadblock in the outfield. But I mean, that's a guy who's got some serious potential.
Yeah.
Then you give up Luis Terrans, young talent. Andrew Munoz, who's a young, talented guy. I think he just got done with Tommy John. but he was clocked 104
Oh, wow.
a good amount of times. This is a guy who could just throw the ball.
Oh, my God.
And then Ty France spent over 300 this year in the majors.
Yeah.
So you give some good players right there. None of these guys really, I mean, these other guys are young, talented. Ty France, they're not really considered prospects anymore, but they're still young talent, and they're still pretty good.
Yeah.
And then Taylor Trammell, I know he's roadblocked there, but you could have got rid of him maybe in the Clevenger deal. You know what I mean? You got Austin Nola.
Yeah,
He's a traveled 30-year-old guy who really didn't blossom till what, last year, 2 years ago. Mariners really liked him, but plays multiple positions. I know he's pretty decent. But, I mean, and then you got an old reliever or, a veteran reliever, Dan Altavilla. Austin Adams is just a young thrower. I believe he's a young pitcher. If that's the other Austin Adams. There's two Austin Adams, I believe. But, I mean, it's just not a good deal.
Yeah, I agree.
I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. I mean, you didn't get enough back.
I don't understand what the dumping was for,
Unless you're World Series bound. If Dodgers made a deal like that and you got rid of a guy like that, you're like, okay, they're really World Series bound.
Yeah.
Give or take. At least to the NLCS. What are the Padres? You don't know what they're going to get. I didn't like that deal at all.
Yeah,
I really didn't like it.
It's a team that's really exciting right now. You just got Clevenger and the offense has been booming. But yeah, it seems a little bit like you said, maybe a move that a bigger team would make, like to the Yankees, Dodgers, someone like that, especially the Dodgers right now. They're best team in baseball. But I don't know. I don't know why that deal was even struck, to be honest.
Austin Nola fits. Another really old veteran reliever, just can't hurt. Padres need some pitching. Austin Nola's, could play catcher, who can help with their catching issues. He can play first. He can play multiple positions. He has played well at times. He's a hot and cold player. But, you got rid of Taylor Trammell, who's a really superstar. Could be a superstar. He has struggled in the minors. I think he batted 220 in AAA last year. But that's last year. We don't know what year did this year. He's just a good player. And then you got guys on the Padres who really aren't going to stick around much longer. Jurickson Profar's not really playing good. So after this year, where does he go? It's at very least, Trammell could have came up and be like a fourth outfielder.
Yeah.
Platoon player. Or he comes up and plays really good and you trade him away and get something for him at that point.
Yeah.
It just seems like they really undervalued him.
I agree.
So I didn't like that move at all. But
I kind of, when I saw it, I was like, why? For any of it. Yeah. It didn't seem to... you can usually see with trades, hey, that fits their need, or hey, like in the Taijuan Walker trade, it's like, well, they just got him for nothing. So it's like, I don't see where the
only thing I thought that it could help them, I really thought that getting Austin Nola was going to be a big part of them getting Clevenger.
Yeah.
And if that would have been the case, it would have made more sense.
Yeah.
If you split them apart, you go, well, that doesn't make sense. But when you realize what happened, how he got the other guy, it was, okay, it's not so bad now.
Yeah.
But it didn't. So it just doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah.
It's just not a good trade. I feel like it really is old school Padres, where it's like, hey, we're okay. Hey, we're pretty good. Hey, let's sell them all.
Yeah.
As the B.J. Upton, Melvin Upton, what you want to call him, Justin Upton, Craig Kimbrell, those years where they really had some good prospects and they got rid of them all. Just don't like that one.
Oh, and they made, 5-6 trades? I guess they can't all be winners, so.
No.
Yeah,
when you make every trade ever. So they have a whole new team.
Yeah.
They're all going to get tested.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so who knows? They might show up with 7 guys in the next game. That's all we got.
Yeah, that's all we got going right now.
That's pretty much it for a trade deadline. That's a lot of moves.
I guess the Padres are the winners, huh?
They did the most. I wouldn't say they're the winners, but they did the most. They're definitely up there. Definitely contending for the best.
Yeah, maybe the Blue Jays too. Jonathan.
The Blue Jays did well.
Yeah.
I thought the Cubs did okay.
A's did good.
I thought the A's did well. I thought the Rays did smart moves. I thought the Diamondbacks did okay.
Yeah, they did good.
And I thought the Marlins did okay. Getting Marte and Villar, they really didn't get much for, but I think they did okay there. Not many teams here I could say they really didn't do good. I think the Padres, that one move, really didn't do good. Every other move I could be like, okay.
Yeah.
The Rockies were Gibbons, I thought was a little too much, but still not a terrible move.
No, because it makes sense. They needed a guy like that.
Yeah. So last week we had no clue what was happening.
Yeah.
Really wasn't much trade. It was like what Scott Pivetta got traded.
Yeah, it was like
pretty much it.
Yeah.
Or David Hale. That was our trades. Now we have Mike Clevenger got traded. Everyone got traded in one day, 1 or 2 days. So it got pretty crazy here.
Yeah.
So, that gave us a little excitement. But other than that, I guess we can go into a little bit shorter version of our normal episode here.
Yeah,
A little bit of news and maybe some injuries and whatnot.
That's all I wrote down for the news because I thought that it just took over. I mean, obviously there was a lot of stuff with last week that we didn't get to talk about because it happened shortly after we recorded with a lot of the games getting postponed. Obviously, it's something I thought we should bring up because that happened. I know you got some of the stuff. Lucas Giolito threw a no-hitter, which is awesome. Good for him. I like him a lot. But what else do you got? Because I'm kind of mind's leaving me right now.
Yeah. So I got the A's. A's had someone in the organization test positive, cancel or postpone their Sunday game. I think they're postponed through Wednesday.
Yeah. Yep.
The Astros again, an alternate site, had another COVID case. They shut that down again.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas Giolito threw the 19th no hitter, I believe, in White Sox history. I believe like the 301st or 302nd no hitter in baseball history.
Oh wow.
A very good play in right field. I think by Adam Engel to save it.
Yeah.
And a very good scoop at first base by Jose Abreu. No one talks about that. Was a really good play.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it for our news. One other small thing I want to mention, really, Adam Wainwright yesterday threw a complete game, first one since 2016.
Yep.
On his birthday,
Mm-hmm.
his 23rd complete game, and it was on Yadier Molina's 2000th career game, all with the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that all made sense.
Yeah, he threw like 121 pitches or something like that.
That's
so I was like, oh my god.
That's fine. He's having a really good year too.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, you want to throw a couple notes. I thought the Red Sox could have traded more guys away.
Mm.
I thought the Yankees could have made more moves. Lance Lynn stayed put. There's some other guys who I thought were kind of going to go, and they didn't. Like I said, Lance Lynn, I thought was going to go. Gallo was on the talks of going somewhere.
Yeah.
I thought Iglesias was out of Baltimore.
Last week, here's the guys that were rumored that we had on our rumors. Taijuan Walker got dealt. Trevor Bauer didn't move. JT Realmuto didn't move. Lance Lynn didn't move. Robbie Ray moved. Clevenger moved. Moreland moved. So there's a few guys there, Bauer, Realmuto, and Lynn, who those would have been some blockbusters had those guys been moved, especially the way Lynn's been pitching, the way Bauer's been pitching, and obviously Realmuto's. He's just Realmuto. He always plays good.
I thought the White Sox could have got some pitching.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees could have made a move. I thought the Rays could have made a move.
Yeah, all they did was give up Jose Martinez, really, right?
Yeah, I mean, Brett Phillips. I thought they could have made a move for maybe a bullpen guy because Nick Anderson's hurt right now. I thought the Twins were going to make a move just because they're on a 5-game losing streak.
Yeah.
I thought the Pirates might have sold a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few teams out there which I thought were going to do a little bit more, but you can't really blame them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but
I thought the Braves were going to do more too.
Yeah.
The only team I thought did exactly what they should have done was the Cardinals. Nothing. They have enough depth in the organization to just do what they got to do in the organization.
Yeah.
So I thought they were a team that a lot of people said that they should do nothing, not because they're not good, just because they have the depth.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was smart. Unless they were going to go get Arenado, I thought they were going to do nothing, and they should have. And I thought the Giants could have done more. Really, I know they're playing well, but I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What if you make the playoffs? You're not going to win a game.
I know what you mean.
You're going to get destroyed.
Yeah.
So why not trade some of these guys away and at least get a player to be named later and a couple low guys and see what happens?
Yeah, it's like not for nothing a team like that. Like, yeah, you're in the playoffs. So the Blue Jays, a team like that, it's like, yeah, you're in the playoffs. You start buying and you get the fan base excited. They're going to be in the playoffs. But I mean, a team like the Giants, are you really going to get past the Dodgers or the Cardinals or you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's great. You're in the playoffs. It's awesome.
3-game series, maybe 5-game series. No.
Yeah,
7-game series, not a shot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Are you really going to let you could start the rebuild and really almost be quick with the trigger finger with some of these trades, and you just didn't.
Guido.
Yeah.
Tony Watson.
Yeah.
Could have got you something. Maybe package them.
Some
the White Sox, and you would have got something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it didn't make too much sense there, but.
What are you
gonna do?
I am happy that some of these fan bases are getting something to, team like them or the Blue Jays or something. You get something to root for a little bit,
The Blue Jays, they're only year not in Toronto, and they're playoff bound.
Yeah, I know.
How about that?
I know, of course.
Some other news here, injury-wise, like we always mention, Betances and Steven Matz both hit the IL.
Mm-hmm.
Mets, Tyler Chatwood back on the IL for the Cubs. Acuna left the game yesterday with a hamstring, and they were up, I believe, 10-1 at the time he left. But then the game got close again. But he did leave the game with a hamstring injury. Aaron Hicks left with cramping in both calves. Aaron Boone said not to worry, so probably done for the year because that's how it is.
It's the Yankees.
Judge will never play baseball again because he's on the IL again.
Yep.
So that's good for him.
Yep.
DJ LeMahieu's back.
Thank God.
The only hitter on the team. And Marcus Semien missed his first game since 2018.
Yeah, I didn't know he
was active streak.
Yeah, I didn't know he was doing that. That's awesome.
Side issues, discomfort. But yeah, he had a long streak, Ironman streak there for a while.
Yeah, good for him.
Evaldi, also on the IL for the Red Sox.
Yep.
So I thought that was weird because he got on the IL. Maybe the Red Sox were going to trade him, but he got on the IL.
Yeah.
So that might have switched a little things around there.
Yeah, that might have hurt them. Yeah.
Other than that, quickly, you mentioned some hot teams. Tampa Bay Rays, I think they're 18-3 in their last 21 games.
Yeah.
5-game win streak.
Mm-hmm.
Blue Jays, I think they're 7-3 in their last 10.
Yep.
White Sox playing well. They took over first place over there, I believe.
Yeah, good for them. Awesome.
Dodgers continuing to play well. Padres are high here, which makes sense for all these deals.
Sure.
And the Giants, I think, are 7-3 in their last 10. And I think they're like 2 games over 500, but still, they should have did more.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of cold teams. Yankees,
ice cold.
Whatever's left of them, not playing well.
Yeah.
Playing okay. They just beat the Mets because the Mets, the Mets, they messed things up. The Twins lost 5 straight.
Not great.
No, not great at all.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona's 2-8 in their last 10, and they got hot there for a while and jumped a bunch of teams. They're in second for a short period. Now they're in last. They're in the basement.
I know.
That's not good.
Yeah.
The Nationals, they're in last place in the NL East.
That's right. Yeah.
Made no moves. I thought maybe Harry Kendrick could be on the move.
I thought with them in last place, I thought you were going to start to see an Alvin Kendrick go and
Harry Kendrick to the Yankees would have been the best.
I kind of had that fantasy in my head.
Imagine him there with LeMahieu.
Oh,
what a lineup! What a mess! Yeah, what a mess. And the Rangers are bad. They're just bad.
They sure are.
They're 2-8 in the last 10. So a couple teams really not doing well. And that kind of reflects some of these trades.
Yeah, nothing. I don't really have much different here on my wrap up for the news. It's just Dodgers. They have the best winning percentage in baseball, 722. Winning percentage, 26-10. They just keep rolling. They're good at this. They're good at being the best team in baseball usually in the regular season, but we'll see what happens in the postseason with them.
Yeah, well, postseason Kershaw will take over and he'll have a 9 ERA.
Yeah. The Rays have the second best record in MLB, best in the AL. They have a 686 winning percentage, 24-11 record. They really have been red hot, and I think a lot to contribute to that is that they have really beaten the Yankees, which is their main problem in the AL East. So to take care of them is really big for them. And obviously the Dodgers, I think we've mentioned it, I don't even know how many weeks in a row. They have the best run differential in baseball, running away at plus 90. And the Rangers still have the worst with the minus 58. So poor Rangers. So Dodgers still at the top, Rangers bottom as far as run differential. So that's who I got for my normal spiel with the hot and cold teams.
And I just want to run through some player names here quickly that are doing well or not doing well.
Mm-hmm.
And I have one more fact I forgot to mention there in our news.
Mm.
But let me just run through some of these. Just a couple of hot players here. Juan Soto, hitting the cover off the ball since he came back from his COVID thing a couple weeks ago. Tim Anderson, I believe he was 4 for 40 the other day.
Wow.
He's been hitting very well.
Nice.
Teoscar Hernandez, I believe, is tied for the Major League lead in home runs.
Yeah, he sure is.
No one's talking about him. I also think he had the longest active streak going into this year with home runs on opening day. I think 3 straight opening days with home runs.
Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I didn't know that.
Luke Voit for the Yankees, the only guy left.
Oh, that's my boy.
Well, LeMahieu came back, but Voit was hitting pretty well.
Yep.
Gimpling around. Big goofball,
I love that, man.
Middle linebacker, playing first base.
Yeah.
Good for him. Big goofball.
Yeah.
But he's playing well. And Jesse Winker.
Yeah.
How about him for the Reds? I mean, every time he gets up, home run, ball in the gap, he's batting like 350.
I know.
Crazy. Some cold players to mention. Brian Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
For a guy who's a base hit, Jeff McNeil, 2.0 kind of guy. He's not playing well.
Yeah.
Which goes along with the Pirates. Adalberto Mondesi. Dom, it's Mondesi. Mondosi. Not playing well. Another speed guy, switch hitter for the Royals. You'd think, how could you not bat at least 2 something? But struggling right now.
Ice cold.
He's going to be good, though.
Yeah.
Don't worry about him.
No.
Gio Urshela for the Yankees. Not playing well. Has been playing a little bit better. Had the walk-off yesterday against the old Mets.
Mm-hmm.
So he hopefully turns around a little bit. Defensively, he's been fine.
Mm-hmm.
Also, bone spurs in the elbow. Missed like 2 games. So
yeah.
that could be a little issue why he's struggling a little bit.
Could be.
Asvio Garcia, not playing well for the Brewers.
Mm.
And Brandon Nimmo for the Mets, not hitting well. The other day, I think he was over 4 with 4 strikeouts.
Not great.
Not playing well right now. A couple pitchers to mention who are pitching well. Adam Wainwright, like we mentioned before, he's having a really good year.
Yeah, he is.
And he's really putting the finishing touches on a Hall of Fame career. Zach Wheeler leaves the Mets, went to the Phillies, pitching well.
Yeah, good
One
pitcher.
of the few pitchers for the Phillies, if any pitchers, were pitching well. Him and Nola actually are pitching pretty well. Other than that, couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Zach Davies,
Yeah.
the Padres, he's pitching well. He's pitching well. Nobody, every time you see that name, you're like, what? Who is he? He just pitches well. That's what he's doing for the Padres. So
Yeah.
that's good for them. Good for
Yeah.
him.
Quietly.
And for the White Sox, Dylan Cease. He's pitching pretty well. Guy who was kind of a prospect, and he's kind of been up for a little while now, so he's not really a prospect anymore, but pitching well. Couple pitchers not pitching well. Kyle Hendricks, you take away his, complete game shutout opening day. I think his ERA this year is 4.5. You take that away, it's probably 5 something.
Yeah, probably.
So-
Because he did start well, yeah.
Yeah, not pitching well. Daniel Hudson, the reliever for the Nationals, I think he has a 6 ERA.
Not
That's
great.
not good.
No.
Could be a big reason why Nationals aren't playing well.
Yeah, that's true.
John Doolittle not pitching well. He just came back from an injury, but
Still.
Kyle Gibson for the Rangers, he's got like a 7 or 8 ERA or 9 ERA, something like that. That's probably why they're minus 58 or whatever you mentioned, run differential.
Yeah, that does not help.
No. Mike Fiers, God bless his heart for what he did with the Astros, but, he ain't pitching good. So that's not good. And Tyler Anderson for the Giants, he's just not not good.
No good.
No, he's not doing good. So he's one of their rotation guys and one of their higher up rotation guys, and he's just not pitching well. So there's a few guys I wanted to mention to kind of bring us to our normal week of covering the sport. And the last thing I wanted to mention, which I forgot to put on here, is that I believe the MLB has passed or is about to pass the bubble cities for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I believe the National League was in California and Texas.
Yeah, it was California and Texas, yeah.
I think the American League was, I don't even remember now.
I'm not sure either.
Don't think it was Florida. I think it was Arizona. Or, no, maybe not Arizona.
That could be.
It might have been Arizona and San Diego or something like that. But they did pass, or they're on the verge of passing bubble cities for the playoffs, which
I
is
did see that,
not
yeah.
a bad idea.
Yeah, it's smart.
Especially when you got to play different teams you haven't seen all year. So that's not a bad idea, but they're on the verge of that or doing it. They have mentioned. I just don't remember the teams, the locations.
I'm almost certain I saw California and Texas, like 100%. I'm pretty sure I saw that.
That was the NL.
Yeah.
I don't know where the AL was, though.
I didn't prepare notes for that, so I'm not 100%. I didn't.
San Diego and Arizona might be involved. They're all southern, warmer places.
Yeah.
I don't think Florida was in because
Yeah, well,
of some of the issues they've had, but they have been getting better, so maybe they are involved. I don't know.
Yeah, they could be.
Maybe Atlanta. I don't know, but I don't remember now.
Yeah,
So
I'm not sure.
That's my fault there, but I forgot to put that here. But I just want to throw that out there. That's something to take note of.
I'll just go into real quick who's hot and who's not, because there's only one overlap with the who's hot and who's not for me. You brought up Mondesi. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but let's talk about the hot players for the week. Who's hot? Manny Machado again, second week in a row, player of the week. He batted .539 on the week with 3 home runs, 7 RBIs. I mean, just to contribute to that Padres team that's just really lighting it up lately, and that offense is stupid right now. So, Machado hitting really well. Number 2, Trey Turner, .519 average, .536 on base, 1351 OPS. Trey Turner really hitting the cover off the ball. Not super power guy, but and he actually only had 1 stolen base in the week, so just a lot of contact, a lot of doubles, I think. So Trey Turner, one of the bright spots of the Nationals right now. Number 3, Andrew McCutchen, .435 average, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs in the last week. I believe he contributed to that almost comeback that the Phillies had against the Braves. I think he had a home run in the late innings. So McCutchen really hitting well, kind of hitting like how he did with the Pirates all them years ago. Number 4, Evan Longoria, quietly batting .435 with a .480 on base, 1132 OPS over the last week. Veteran guy over there, just really doing his job. He's definitely not what he used to be, but there's still value there, so he's hitting good. Number 5, final guy, I got to give a little shout out, Miguel Cabrera, quietly. I didn't even know this, batting .500 in the last week with a .560 on base, 1242 OPS. So shout out to Miguel Cabrera. He was on, I think, the cold list last week or 2 weeks ago or something. So
yeah, and I believe yesterday got his 2000s career hit with the Tigers.
Yeah, he did. Mm-hmm.
So that's a big milestone.
Didn't he recently with the RBI list too? Didn't he?
Yeah, I think he
passed Adrian Beltre.
Yeah, I think like 21st on the list or
yeah,
somewhere in the 20s, I believe. He's in a pretty good spot. He's pretty pretty far up there.
Yeah,
he's starting to get up there, passing some names.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll find his way into the Hall of Fame soon, as long as he keeps kind of keeps doing what he's doing.
He's in the Hall of Fame, I think, already.
Yeah,
but it's just a matter of where his rank is or where you put him and some of the stats he finishes with.
Yeah,
he's in there.
That's what I'm saying. As long as he doesn't just fall off a cliff, which even if he does,
yeah, he's gonna pass some of these big names here soon.
Yeah,
so eye-opening names. He'll be passing some of these lists: home runs, hits, RBIs. So he's in a good spot.
So let's just finish up with the who's cold for the week. Like I mentioned earlier, we had one crossover, Alberto Mondesi, just really not hitting well in the last week. Had a .077 average, a .077 on base, and a .154 OPS. Just really not great. And he had a lot of at bats too. It's not like it was only a small sample size. I think he had almost 30 at bats or something like that. Wilson Contreras, number 2. He batted 143 for the week with a 172 on base, a 530 OPS. Really touted as a really good hitting catcher, just not getting it done this week.
Yeah, and actually, being a defensive catcher too. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before in a doubleheader with the Reds, he had a ball that he really should have blocked.
Oh yeah,
not even close to blocking really.
Yeah,
and let the winning run score on a walk off for the Reds. So that's another thing too. He wasn't hitting well, then all of a sudden makes a little bit of a defensive play. So it goes along with when you're having a bad week, you have a bad week.
Yeah, mentally he might just be like, just let's get over this. Yeah. Number 3, I guess no surprise with the low average because it's kind of been the narrative all year for this guy. But Pete Alonso, batted with a 120 average this week, 214 on base, 454 OPS. I mean, definitely not having the year he had last year. A little bit of a sophomore slump. I don't think there's really anything to worry about with Pete Alonso yet. I mean, we'll see what happens next year, but just not overall for the season. He's not hitting super, super great. Katel Marte is number 4. He's batting 167 over the last week, 231 on base, 481 OPS. Katel Marte is really one of the bright spots of the Diamondbacks. I was actually even surprised to write him down here. But he did have the better average of all these guys on the list here, so at least there's that. And number 5, Mikey Schremsky, a guy really I've been meaning to talk about kind of all year. He's really been hitting good. I got to give it up to him. And just some guys on the Giants. But this week, unfortunately, he's on the cold list. He only batted 136 over the last week, 240 on base, 422 OPS. Inevitably, you would figure a guy like this was just going to hit a slump like this. He really has been hitting well all year. Got to give him credit. Obviously, the lineage that he comes from, he should be a good player. So, that's the last guy I got to talk about who's not Mikey Schremsky, unfortunately. I'd say a lot of these guys, probably all of them big names. Machado, Turner, McCutchen, Longoria, Miggy. I mean, all big names. So kind of what you expect out of the hot guys. Not the cold guys. Pete Alonso, I kind of expected to be on here at some point. To be honest with you, I didn't kind of buy the hype last year. So, but hopefully, out of all these players, I kind of hope that Yastrzemski and Mondesi turned around. I do like Alberto Mondesi.
Yeah.
So
I think Mondesi for sure will be fine.
Yeah.
Young guy, switch hitter with all that speed, he'll be fine.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think Yastrzemski's a good enough player. He'll at least be okay.
He's been good this year, so.
Yeah, he'll figure it out to be, get back to at least 250, 260 average.
Yeah.
So, other than all that, I mean, that's a lot of news compared to some of these weeks. We've been really down with some of this news. But, I mean, he hit a bunch of stuff with the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously our normal routine of the episode. But to go along with that, our last part of each episode, the good old trivia question.
Yep.
This is a trivia question. To go along with the trade deadline, when did the trade deadline become official in Major League Baseball? That's the question. Yeah, I'll give you a little background to it to get to the final answer, of course. So, they say about 1917 to about 1922, the Giants and the Yankees were kind of really feasting on some of these teams and just trading. The Yankees, especially with Boston, were making deals late in the season, and people were not happy with it. And they were making, obviously making some of these deals that are World Series bound, or even late in the year because there was no deadline. So you can trade somebody technically in the World Series.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So the AL, American League, instituted trade deadline in 1920. They say the deal that really kind of pushed them over the edge was the Babe Ruth to the Yankees deal.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to stop the fact that the Yankees were kind of picking on the Red Sox because the Red Sox were like, take our players.
Mm-hmm.
They got Babe Ruth. They're like, no.
Yeah.
No. So that kind of was the American League part of it. The whole league didn't adopt the trade deadline which is you can't trade somebody from August 1st through the World Series until 1923. So trade deadline became official league-wide in 1923.
Wow. I thought it was a little later because my first thought went to the free agency because that didn't really start happening until the 70s, Catfish Hunter and that whole thing. So I didn't really think that there was like a hard and fast deadline until later. I just felt like it was almost like maybe they did it on the honor system. Maybe it was like, hey, mutual agreement, we're not going to make trades after like September or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I almost wanted it to be like a trick question where they didn't have a hard and fast roll until later. You know, so that's interesting.
Yeah, 1923, they made it. Both leagues. It just, of course, it seemed to be that Babe Ruth had a little bit of a hand in that as well.
Of course.
So,
of course.
That's the information that I got, and that's where we're at. So the trade deadline became official in both leagues in 1923.
Cool.
So I thought that went perfectly with the trade deadline episode that we just did.
That is perfect.
So that's pretty much it. I mean, we touched a lot of things in this episode.
Yeah, a little bit longer episode.
Yeah, I mean, we went to our normal stuff. We also went through the trade deadline, which was, I got like a whole page. I don't even have room left on this page to write anything. So, I mean, that's pretty much all I got. I don't know if you want to throw anything else in there.
No, I mean, good trade deadline. I couldn't even keep up with it all day. I was kind of the Twitter kept rolling. Just kept seeing trades, misspelled tweets of people's names. And, I saw a lot rolling in, and a lot of them I kind of seen were like, oh, okay, it's a nice move. Nothing. A
lot of player to be named later.
A lot, yeah. I never seen that many in my life.
Yeah, he's a busy guy.
yeah.
So, we'll find out a couple of these are going to be good, I think.
Yeah, by the time this gets
so many of them.
Yeah.
And with the minor league system not being here, that's why it's so many of them, I think. There's going to be a few of these that you're like, oh, that guy's pretty good.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, by the time this gets posted, maybe we'll see some of the results of these trades. So we'll see maybe some names come out by then. So we'll see. This is just, we're reacting purely based off of, the trade deadline ended a few hours ago. So yeah, I thought overall pretty exciting. I love the trade deadline. It's always one of my favorite times of the year. But that's all I got. You got anything else, or let's just wrap it up? Let's get out of here.
That's it. Let's wrap it up and get out of here.
All right, guys. Well, that's it. You can catch us next week. You can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify. You can listen to this podcast on our regularly updated YouTube channel, as well as our website, screwball.podbean.com. You can follow me on Twitter at RealMikeLepre. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lepre.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at FDubs10.
You can follow our official Screwball Twitter at ScrewballPod. You can follow our official Facebook at ScrewballPod, no E in Screw. And that's it from us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep, take care.